Hi everybody. Well, we're going to see if we can get this video done before lunch. And it's been busy. It's been my watering day. And what I've done for after I do this repot is I've grouped all my orchids together because I brought them in to water today. And I've grouped them in the types of pots and how they're doing, and how different types of pots are working in this climate area, and how it also might help you to pick a pot for your area. We're going to do that last. So we're doing a repot today, and because it's been hot and dry here, I'm trying something different. Now, the biggest quit saying Caroline. When I brought the orchids in today, I looked at a lot of the smaller pots, and I know I have to water them twice a week this time of the year, and I'm sorry. Anyway, I looked deep into the pots and the bark was very dry, but what I noticed that the roots growing in there are nice and green, and they're nice new shoots. And this is why I say don't panic, be patient, because when the roots that grow in your bark, when they start to come, you have nice new roots because you've changed from moss to bark. They are very hardy. I've read about it. They're definitely hardier than something in moss or even waterculture. So, talking about waterculture, just quickly, there was a lady that sent me a message and a recommendation which I followed. Now, I wish she'd get back in touch with me, because after I did what she asked, and I can't go into it now because I'm going to be very busy, I lost her comment and I couldn't answer it, and I do want to, and I thank her very much. So if you're watching this, please comment back. Not in the area you did last time because it's not there. Okay, back to the potting. So what I've done, because it's hot and dry here, and the biggest shock your orchids get when going into new bark is the fact that the bark, because it has not, it takes about a month or so to acclimatize to holding any moisture at all. If it's very dry, it will just run off. Now, if you're in a very humid area, you probably don't even need to soak your bark. In fact, if you did what I did today, it wouldn't probably be good for you. But in dry areas or indoors, in drier humidity conditions in the house, this is a good idea. I do a lot of research, and I have seen a couple people in blogs, talking on blogs. One lady said she keeps a bucket of bark on her kitchen floor and keeps it wet, ready to use. So anyway, what I've done is, last Saturday, I put my bark in a plastic bag with water. At first I put it out in the heat of the patio, and I thought that might be a little too hot, and I don't want to encourage growth of any kind. So I put it in my bathroom, and it's nice and cool, and it's been there since Saturday. So normally I soak my bark 24 hours. And you know, I still have that dryness shock. So this actually gets the bark working better, quicker. People that have tried it seem to be very happy with it. Now we're talking about areas maybe in the home because it's a dry condition, or where you live is drier. So anyway, here it is, and it's wet, and I'm going to dump it in my strainer because I didn't even rinse it off. I just put it in the bag and put it to soak. So I am pretty sure, because it's so hot and dry, and anything that isn't in flower goes out onto my patio. And it's been over 90 out there this last while, and it's cooler today, a lot cooler. And that's why I brought them into water today. I didn't feel like dancing in the rain or anything. Not raining, but it's supposed to, and we need it. So now I'm just going to rinse it off. Any dust or things that were settled in. I like this Rexius bark. It's made in the States, and the quality is very good, and it's heat treated. So what we're gonna do is some of my pots, I'm going to be showing you later, but I picked out two that are in smaller pots that seem to dry out quicker, and I'm going to put them in this. Now, this is a fairly much bigger pot, because the plants will be coming out the top, and there'll be two, but they'll have lots of room to grow down. They still have lots of air. I think it was a wine bottle holder I got from a local garage sale, and I think it'll be nice. I can hang it, and we'll see how that goes. As you know, and you're going to see all the different pots as we go, and how each one is affected because of the type of pot it's in. So what I'm going to do I'm just going to put some of this bark, a little bit awkward, to fill about most of the way up. I know I've done this so many times, but this is one of my own I'm potting, so I don't have the moss to worry about. And I just want to get this filled up a bit. And what I'm going to do is, the bark that is in these plants is still good. And it's going to be kind of like when you go camping or you go visit and you take your pillow because you want something from home and something you're used to. Well, some of the bark, because it's still good, is going to go in here, and it has, the roots will know, oh, this is home. You can even do that by putting a little bit of bark, one that you're transplanting from bark to bark. You can put a little bit every transplant, because any little micronutrients that are settled in that bark, the plant will know they're there, and it'll actually multiply, and it'll be all the same home environment as they have. So most of this really wet bark is going in the bottom. And the plants were just watered, and this is soaked since Saturday, and I'm not watering again for a week, and we're going to see how they do. So I think I got enough in for now. I have, it's a funny pot. There we go. I have filled it up about to here. The holes are nice, so I only have because there was a hole here, I put some of that cocoa fiber matting, but the sides are clear. They'll get lots of air for photosynthesis, whatever that is. Anyway, okay, we're going to do that. Now I'm going to take the two orchids. This one is in lots of holes, and it's pottery. Pottery will actually dry out quite quickly. So if you're in a humid environment, it is not going to actually help hold in any humidity. So it's going to be drier, and that's what I found. This one dries out really quick. There was one leaf injured in the sun a long time ago, and it's staying the same. So we'll unpot that one. I called it Violet with White Lace. And then we have another one in a real small pot. And I have a bunch of orchids in these pots. I have a lot of these porcelain orchid pots, and we'll be looking to see how they're doing in each size. This is just one I picked because I had two holes. So let's just dump this one out, see what we got. I haven't had it out. Okay, there's one real dry root. I'm going to let you have a look. We'll look real closely. I think this one here, I'll just pull off. And there's nothing soggy because they're in bark. But I think it will be a lot happier, this particular one, when it is in a pot that is going to hold a little bit more humidity. So I like to just strip the parts I'm not keeping off. I like to leave the strands, as I did when this was first put in. So this piece could actually come off. There we go. So this one's going to go on one side, and some of the bark from the pot because it's still good. Now we're going to dump this one out, see what we got here. Oh, here's another thing with pottery. You'll find that the pottery ones that aren't glazed, the roots, they stick to the pottery. That's another sort of drawback, is you have to be gentle and you can get them off. There. But they stick a lot easier than to something shiny, which these pots, they've been glazed inside, and some, they may stick, but they don't like stick as hard as the others. So here we have some nice new roots. I haven't checked up on this one, so we have some nice green ones. We have some that in the past, when it was in moss and got at the grocery store, I could have come back in and cleaned that up. But I don't see anything oh, there's some old moss. Carolyn, sometimes, you know, that's something to watch for too. It doesn't take much of that moss when it's left behind in the pot. You could even get a little pair of tweezers, but sometimes when I'm doing a video, I'm like doing it, and most of these, when I did them, I did do a video, and a little bit of moss left behind can rot right where the root it's on. It's probably acidic, it's been there too long, so that's another thing. You know, sometimes I do this quickly and I miss something, and that was a little bit soggy right where that little bit of moss was. So I'll just rinse them off, make sure there's no more moss on there. Now, if you live somewhere really dry and you're using moss, that's okay. It can be used as a crutch. I wouldn't use a lot. Some people have tried it. My daughter tried it and didn't like it. She's gone to straight bark, and she has, I think, almost as many orchids as I do. So it I think may require more care. And once you get used to it, but as a crutch in a real dry area, it is a consideration, not one I want to use here. And we are hot and dry in our summers here. So here we have one, and it has some of its own bark, but it's all healthy bark. It has not broke down much. It's probably been in this pot a year, I'd say. So it might be a little difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip one in a hole. And even though some might fall out the other side, I'm going to stick some of their bark in. And then I'm going to use some of the other bark. And then I'm going to force it in. Oh, that's one thing about that hole, I can reach through and firm up the... I like to, when I'm potting them and I'm trying to get the bark around the roots, I like to kind of just take my finger and press and poke. Not real hard, I don't want to break anything, but enough to make sure that they're firm in there. And this one's going in the other hole. And first I'm going to use up this bark that I just soaked around the roots. It's one thing when you're going from bark to bark. It's not as messy and it's not a shock. You're keeping with the same media, and if you do keep a little bit like a pillow from the last pot, pick out some healthy pieces of bark. And this is a bit of an awkward pot, but I like to play around, and I have some very different pots and different how they've been doing. So if I put my hand over the other side and put some bark in, this is an experiment. There was something about this pot that I liked, so I decided to give her a go. Now, we just about got it all in, and we're going to go do that tour. And actually, maybe I'll take you on the tour. It might take a bit. And then I'll finish tidying this up. And in that side, I'm going to put bark right to the top. So I want to make sure all the roots that were covered are still covered. And they will settle in. So, see? It's kind of different, and we'll see how it does. It'll be going outside. This is a good time to repot because it's a growth season just getting on going, and that's what we want after repot, except sometimes when you've got one, you're changing the media and the moss has probably been in that pot a long time. Even on the orchid societies, they will say to repot it right away because it comes under the sad classification. And the one I did in the last repot, all the buds have opened. Now I've trimmed some back from the original flowers, but it's still doing good. So I'll take you on that tour. And we'll discuss pots. Okay. Now, so I'll give you a close-up of this. So, won't that be beautiful? I'm going to let the flowers hang down. Let's see if I can get in there. I'll probably add a little bit more bark, not too much. And I'm just going to let, when the flowers come next winter, it'll be something to see. So, there. Now, okay, as you know, I have used sewer pots. These are triple sewer pots, and I have used them. And Jack did this one. He even painted it. It's I don't know where, 3 pipes that go from one item. So, they have been happy in here. You can see down inside. I can't get in there. But they're quite healthy. And they should be getting new roots and leaves. So, sewer pot, it's heavy plastic. Holds more humidity. Might be why these ones are doing good. Okay, my second sewer pot, same thing, smaller. I moved these so many times, and now they are in a sewer pot, and I think they're doing pretty good. Their roots are doing good, and I'm being patient. So we have those. So then I tried wire baskets with just the coconut fiber matting that I sewed up myself to fit the pot. And this, they hang in the kitchen window most of the year, and they seem happy. This one I left out before I took it out the window. I noticed, oh, it's getting hot, and it started to get some yellow lines because it was hanging from the pot hanger, and that's when I said, oh, better take them all out of the west window. So I did. And I have a small one, and here's the humidity in here. I've been watering, so it's about 46. Usually the last few days have been around 40. So here's the other one. It's showing a nice little leaf coming. So now we want to look at porcelain orchid pots. Most of these I have found on garage sales or thrift stores. You can pick them up next to nothing. Now they are sold online. I've seen them in a few places. They're not cheap. No stores here sell them. But okay, how do they do? This one has been flowering since Christmas. And it's happy. Has some new roots. You know, if you don't like those aerial roots sticking out like too far, when you catch them new, you can sort of make them circle around the pot. They're still aerial roots, but they're circling around the pot. So these are porcelain. The size is good. Now, some people don't like to put their orchids in big pots. For me, big pots hold more humidity. They might spend a longer amount of time growing roots in that pot, but once they're established, they're good. Now here's about the next size down, and I don't give it an extra watering. It has a new leaf. Seems to be doing good. This one here, it struggled a bit, but now it's starting to do better. So I have a lot in these pots. I have no trouble with them. This was a new leaf coming here. Nice and healthy looking roots down inside. So those require 2 waterings a week, especially in the winter when the furnace is on. Now, this is one that had no roots. If you remember, Mom picked this one out. It was red, and it was beautiful. And it had no aerial roots, and it had no roots by the time it got potted. But it started a sad new leaf, and there's another new leaf coming down inside. And you know, I thought I'd lose it, and I thought, well, I'm just going to put it in the bark, treat it normally, and you know, the leaves are sad, I know, but it is coming. We have to be patient. It's going to just struggle on its own, and when it comes, it will be very healthy. Now these are small pots, twice a week watering, just bark, new leaves. Now they are more work in a dry area, and in a humid area, not so bad. But here they are. These are all the same type of pots. This is the one I repotted in the last video. It seems to be holding its own. That's why I've left the flowers on. For now. So these are all the porcelain orchid pots and how they're doing. This one here was repotted earlier this year. So I'm still waiting for it to, they take a good year to really settle in. They're slow growers. Okay, now the thing I do really think does well is, yes, I overpotted it. Yes, I overpotted it. But just look at it. Now when I want to repot, it won't be hard. The holes are big. The roots will go right through. But you see, this bark isn't breaking down at all yet. And why does it do so well? Because those road cones are a type of rubber plastic, and they hold more humidity. The bigger pot, it holds more humidity. And these, Mom comes upstairs for dinner every night and she goes, they just look the same every day. This has been since Christmas, because the pot holds more humidity. It gets watered once a week, even now in the summer. Now, if it's real hot, I might just take the watering can and give it a dribble halfway through to all of them when I reach that real hot weather we get. So road cones, am I happy with road cones? Yes. In fact, there will be another one shortly, a real tiny one. And this is a smaller one, but they do come smaller road cones than this one, and that's what I'm going to do for the next one. So it's getting a new leaf, new roots. It takes a while to really get acclimatized, and they look sad. And don't say, oh my God, the bark's killing it. It looks sad, I'm taking it out. Have a look at it, see how it looks before you jump to that conclusion. Because if you see some green roots or something trying, that means it is trying. Same with this one. I repotted it, and it may take a while, but it will settle in and it'll be fine. So those are the road cones, handmade traffic cones. Jack cuts off the bottom, and I'll be doing another one shortly. Now, clay. Here we are with the clay pot. This was a lamp, and we turned it into a flower pot. Now, there's roots in there. It's doing good, but what will happen? The roots will cling to this. But it seems happy in here, and I'm leaving it, and you can see they'll flatten out and they'll cling. So there are more upkeep with a clay pot, but if you soak it in water and carefully wiggle them off, they do come off, but it's something to realize. You can also spray this pot more often, not watering it, but spraying the pot, and that will help hold humidity. And that's one way of another thing is, I saw the video, I think, oh darn, who was it? Anyway, it was quite a popular orchid person. And they had all these clay pots, and they don't even have media in them. They just have holes in hot areas. And the plants are inside with the roots. And if they miss those pots are continually giving off moisture. They don't need media. They can live in those pots. It's a terrific idea. Won't work here, and that's how I almost killed it. I don't do water culture or semi-water culture. I'm not good at it. Oh boy. I tried once and lost a very good plant. This little one that needs more humidity, it does dry out, but I have been misting the outside of the pot to hold it until I get a little tiny road cone, which will hold more humidity. So it still has its 3 flowers, but this plant needs more humidity. Now the new ones, they'll probably flower, but these are going to drop. And for 2 years I had the same trouble. And it's a species orchid, the only one I have. So something I learned about it, because there's no information. So this will be changing this one. Now these are light orchid pots, but they're porcelain and they're holes. But they're upside down lampshades from an old antique lamp someone didn't want anymore. And I struggled with these two. They had scale quite bad. They got alcohol baths and put back in alcohol baths, but they've perked up, and they don't have scale anymore, and they're getting healthier. And I think as each new root comes, will be okay. But it has been a struggle. And always look for that scale. If you catch it early, then you are going to be lucky and safer. So I always, when I wipe them down, look for a scale. So I hope that helps a little bit regarding pots. Now I'm going to take you to look out the front window. It's not the final reveal because we're not finished, but I'm going to show you how we have done so far. Out the window to our homemade boulders. Oops. Oops. Down here. Except on the ground. He doesn't like to be in videos, but that was an accident. Anyway, everybody, thanks for dropping in. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.